Today is the day after Championship Sunday, and with the completions of the AFC and NFC title games, I wanted to take a minute today to talk about a topic of relevance that I think is both important to the playoffs, this upcoming Super Bowl that we will be getting to watch in a few. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's this weekend. I think it's in 2 weekends. I haven't checked the schedule, but oh yeah, it's February 7th. Um, that is relevant to both the playoffs this year, the Super Bowl, and the Minnesota Vikings. So we can sort of tie this into our little niche here with the Minnesota Vikings, and that is what is the value of running backs in the modern era? What is the value of running backs right now in the NFL? And are we, in a situation where some teams have realized the reality of the situation that running backs in this league aren't what they used to be? And I want to preface this by saying I have, two philosophies that I have been pounding the table for a while now. And if you've watched any of my videos from the past year, I think you probably picked up on that. And that is, number one, don't draft running backs in the first round. And number two, running backs in the grand scheme of things don't necessarily matter. And I'm not here to claim creative rights to this theory or this way of thinking. I'm not the first person to say this. I'm not even close to being the 100th person to say this. This isn't something I came up with. This is just something that I heard other prominent people in the industry talk about recently. And, I sort of had an epiphany listening to the argument that running backs don't necessarily matter anymore, because as a Minnesota Vikings fan who spent a good 8 to 10 years benefiting from the existence of Adrian Peterson and having won no Super Bowls with him, it kind of like sparked an epiphany. Like, wow, what is the point, of paying big time contracts to a running back that can be made irrelevant in certain game situations? So I thought I'd talk a little bit about that today, and use sort of these playoffs that we just witnessed and the Super Bowl that's coming up as sort of a backdrop to this argument. And I want to get Vikings fans' feedback. What do you think of the current situation with the Vikings and Dalvin Cook? Were you happy with that contract extension? Are you upset that we're tying up that much money in a running back? I mean, he's one of the top paid running backs in the league at average annual salary, I believe, of $12 million a year. And very productive, almost an MVP season. Very, very strong, absolutely critical player to this offense, the way that it's designed. And what do you think? What is your opinion on that? I'm not here to hate on Dalvin Cook. I like him as a player. I'm glad that we have him. I'm very excited to watch him play. He's a dynamic running back. I'm not here to hate on the contract so much either, because if you look into it, the average annual salary per season, yeah, that stings. I believe there's going to be one point where he's going to be due $15 million in a season, but the Vikings were smart in how they structured it in the long run, because with a couple of years left, he'll be a free agent in 2026. But with a couple of years left on the contract, I'll just put it on the screen for you here right now. The dead money penalties for cutting him before a season starts, I believe in 2024 and 2025, if I remember correctly, is not all that bad. And $3 million a dead cap hit is sustainable. That's totally okay. So if the production falls off, the Vikings gave themselves an out, and I think that's good management by them. So moving on to the discussion overall of what is the value of a running back in today's NFL, where it's a passing league. It's dominated by rule changes that have occurred where it has opened up the passing game immensely. And as we saw in these playoffs, the final four teams that made it to championship weekend had 3 of the top 5 quarterbacks that finished in PFF's total grading system. Those being Aaron Rodgers, was it Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen? I forget which 3 it was, but the only one that didn't make it was Deshaun Watson. So that leaves something to be desired, where you could argue that in the current NFL formula, having an elite quarterback is the key to winning a Super Bowl, or at least getting close to winning a Super Bowl, as opposed to having an elite running back. So just to sort of paint the picture for you, NFC Championship game weekend and AFC Championship game weekend, I guess Championship game weekend, the leading rushers for the NFC Championship game was Leonard Fournette for 55 total yards. Leading rusher for the AFC Championship game was Josh Allen, not even a running back, 88 total yards. Your Super Bowl starting quarterbacks are going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire from Kansas City and Ronald Jones from Tampa Bay. Ronald Jones finished the season as running back 12 in total yardage with 978. Clyde Edwards-Helaire finished as running back 19 in total yardage with 803, and he did miss some time with injury. The top 10 running backs in the playoffs, now this is just based on rushing yardage totals. That's what I went with as my statistical ranking. But your top 10 running backs in the playoffs, there were 5 of them. Derrick Henry was RB1. Jonathan Taylor was RB3. Aaron Jones was RB4. David Montgomery was running back 5. And Nick Chubb was running back 7. And how did they fare in the playoffs, you might ask? Well, Derrick Henry versus the Ravens, 18 carries for 40 yards. David Montgomery versus the Saints, 12 carries for 31 yards. Now, I don't think anybody anticipated David Montgomery being some kind of explosive difference maker this season, even though I believe that's what he was drafted to be. But his short stint in the league has proven otherwise. And then Jonathan Taylor versus the Bills had the best one-game playoff appearance out of the 3 that only appeared in one playoff game, 21 carries, 78 yards, and a touchdown. For the other 2, Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones, they participated in 2 playoff games this year. Nick Chubb finished 18 for 76 yards against the Steelers and 13 for 69 yards against the Chiefs. Nice. Aaron Jones goes 14 for 99 and a touchdown against the Rams. That's the best one of the bunch. And then yesterday against Tampa Bay, 6 for 27 and one of the, more out of left field fumbles because he's not a guy that typically does that. So overall in total, you look at the running back production during the regular season, and that's really what you're signing up for. You're signing up for running back production during the regular season when you pay running backs top tier money. Now, some of these guys, of course, are still on, low paying contracts. Like Nick Chubb is still on his rookie deal. Jonathan Taylor's on his rookie deal. Things of that sort do have to be taken into consideration. But there's going to be a point where those guys aren't cheap anymore, especially Nick Chubb here in a few years. He's going to demand top 10 running back salary. It's just going to happen. So my philosophy in thinking is that given the fact that last year in the Super Bowl, your starting running backs were Damian Williams and Raheem Mostert, okay? This year, your starting running backs are going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Ronald Jones. We could argue for Leonard Fournette. It's absolutely hilarious that Le'Veon Bell is going to be participating in this. But going forward, what are you actually getting out of a running back that you're paying top dollar for and being the focal point of the offense? This is the part that I don't understand because in a league that is structured around passing and favors the passing attack, at some point, eventually, because you're not going to be leading every game and winning time of possession and being able to play great defense. At some point, you're going to be behind and you're going to need to play catch up, and the situation is going to dictate that you need to go down the field and score. Let's say you're down by 14 in the middle of the third quarter with 8 minutes to go. Establishing the run at this point doesn't make any sense because nobody's going to be biting on play action pass. They know that you're going to be pushing the ball down the field because you need to score points as quickly as humanly possible. Is there still time on the clock? Yes, but time is a finite resource, and it is the number one enemy for teams that are playing from behind. When you look at that sort of big picture, you realize that a running back that is making top dollar, taking up X amount of percentage space of your salary cap, that you're not investing in other key critical parts of the team, such as maybe a left guard or an edge rusher or an interior pass rusher or maybe a cornerback. You're kind of wondering, the running back that you've paid a ton of money for that averages 20 to 30 carries a game, suddenly you can't really use him unless it's just out of the backfield on passing plays, like swinging out Dalvin Cook into the flats. The focal point of your offense has been neutered, and you are now forced to throw the football down the field, which you might not be built to do. So it's just one of those things that I have a hard time of trying to figure out. Teams that still rely on the ground and pound game and playing great defense and winning time of possession. Time of possession is a great thing to sort of win. Ideally, you want to win the turnover margin. You want to win time of possession. All those things lead to points, and points leads to winning games. It sounds like a simple formula, but at the same time, If you're consistently going down the field and putting up 21 points in a half, obviously you're not going to win time of possession because you have a lightning strike quick offense. And more points, it doesn't matter if it takes a million, it takes a million minutes to march down the field and get. If it's a 15 play drive that chews up 10 minutes, or a 6 play drive that chews up 4 minutes, the result is still a touchdown. I understand that the argument for winning time of possession may be that it gives the other offense less time to do anything, but if you're playing against an offense that is lightning quick striking, and they can get the ball down the field in less than 4 minutes, then you chewing up 10 doesn't really make all that much of a difference. They're still going to be able to hammer it down your throat. So that's where I stand on the era of running back, or the era that we currently exist in. I think the days of Sean Alexander, Jerome Bettis, and Terrell Davis winning you Super Bowls is long gone. I don't think we're going to have that anymore. I'm very excited to be blessed with having had Adrian Peterson for as long as we did, and I'm glad Dalvin Cook is here. We've been the beneficiaries of great running backs for a number of years in Minnesota, but I don't think that that's going to win you a championship anytime soon. When you look at the makeup of other teams around the league that are consistently making it to Championship Sunday and consistently in the Super Bowl. This is the second consecutive year for the Kansas City Chiefs to be in the Super Bowl. It was their third and straight AFC title appearance. This is Tom Brady's 10th Super Bowl, and it's his first with a different team. It was an offense that was built around passing, not rushing. They did very well in the running game. If you can have an elite passing attack, if you can have an average to above average running game and an average to above average defense that doesn't suck, you can absolutely win a Super Bowl. Trying to build a great defense and sustain that for a number of years until your window closes, I don't think is a viable approach to winning Super Bowls anymore in this league. So I'm welcome to opposing arguments and opposing opinions. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.